So now let's look at stormwater pollution. So what is stormwater? So we're talking about drainage and all this stuff. What is stormwater? Stormwater is excess water. When it rains, a rainstorm, we have water that moves across the surfaces, either our yards or our driveways or roads, and it carries all kinds of stuff with it, and it becomes stormwater. And it usually flows into different drainage grates, street drains, stuff like that. And it can carry a lot of different stuff with it. Now, why is this becoming more and more of a problem? Well, one, we're getting more and more urbanization, and as we do that, we're taking away more and more naturalized areas. When we have natural ground covers like forest and cropland and stuff like that, the rain can actually penetrate the soil profile, and we get almost 50% penetration, and about 40% evaporation, get about 10% runoff. Look over here with urbanization. We get about 30% evaporation, maybe 15% infiltration, and we're getting about 55% runoff. When this water runoff comes a lot of different things. It's not just water oftentimes. It can carry pet waste, it can carry excess pesticides, excess fertilizers, which can cause problems. It can carry excess household chemicals. It can carry sediment, roof contaminants such as roof oils and bird droppings, things like that. So there's a lot of different things in stormwater and that don't often get processed through the normal channels. Now, what happens is, especially with excess nutrients, we can get excess nutrients flowing into water and water sources that can cause excess algal blooms. And algal blooms, some algal blooms are normal. We have what we call planktonic algae, which is good algae that bait fish feed on, and the predator fish feed on the bait fish. So that's a good thing. But we can also have too much algae that build up, and then we also have some bad algae like cyanobacteria that can build up with excess nutrients. What happens is they build up, they start dying because there's not enough space to occupy. As they die, then they start to decompose. Bacteria and stuff decompose those old dead algae cells. As they do, they consume oxygen. And when the oxygen is consumed in the water column, oxygen levels drop too far in the water column, you can have fish kills. So there can be a lot of different problems with that. So it's important to always fertilize on a soil test and to always make sure that you're aware that doing your part for managing stormwater. So let's look at some ways we can reduce stormwater pollution. So one of the things you can do is, again, always fertilize on the soil test. Recycle your grass clippings. Make sure you're applying pesticides correctly and at labeled directions, and not doing it when you're too close to a rainstorm. And just overall common sense is what we're getting at here. And also keeping grates and storm grates free of debris. Another thing you can do, and this is talk about the dealing with the excess drainage in your yard, is you can install basically a dry well. Now, a dry well is basically a giant French drain, is essentially what it is. It's designed to catch excess stormwater, and these can be 200 or 300 gallon capacities. And then the idea is the excess would then flow. You can see the diagram here on the right. The idea is it would run off your roof or in your yard. You'd have it flow into the dry well. The excess water that doesn't contain the dry well would get flowed out to a French drain system. What doesn't get filtered out through the soil profile gets discharged into the street. So that way you keep your house nice and dry. You keep everything away from your house. You keep the yard nice and dry. And it also helps with the soil, with stormwater pollution, because all that excess stormwater can hopefully be filtered through the soil profile with that dry well. Now you can go on different websites like NDS Drains and other websites, and you can actually type in that. They make the math easy. They kind of have this little tool that you can pick pick your surfaces, you can pick an average rain, and then you can figure out, okay, well, I need so many dry wells to compensate for that much rainfall. So, and a lot of people talk about, they want to overplan. Most people plan for about a 50-year rain. Engineers talk about 25-year rains, 50-year rains, and 100-year rains. So most people plan for about a 50-year rain is what they plan for. You can plan for a 100-year rain, certainly. And there's more information online about what to look for and what parameters 100-year rains talk about. That's basically, you're talking about bigger pipe to carry a lot more water. Bigger pipe means bigger money. Most people stick with 4-inch to 6-inch pipe. Again, a dry well is just basically a giant French drain is what this is designed to do. So you have a stormwater runoff, goes into the dry well. All the excess water is filters through gravel into the subsoil surface and goes back into the water table through filtration. That way, the water gets filtered, all the contaminants from stormwater get filtered out, and it's a lot better for the environment, a lot better for your home, because you're getting the water removed, but you're also getting the water away from your water. You're getting the water away from the yard, and also you're helping to reduce that contamination. Again, you can have multiple dry wells. And preferably these are installed by a contractor because this is going to require some digging. They also have to be cleaned out every once in a while. You'll have sediment that gets built up in there. You can use shop vacs. You can have septic people come pump them out. But there's some maintenance to these, but they're really good products. As I mentioned, NDS has a calculator that you can use. As I mentioned, NDS has a calculator that you can use. You can calculate how much dry wells you need, or you can use a drain calculator to figure out how much pipe or what size pipe you need. They make the math really easy. You just enter the amount of square feet you're trying to drain. You choose your coefficient based on the area, so whether it's asphalt, whether it's like roofs, or if it's grass, and then you do your average rainfall, and they even include a map that tells you about the average inches per hour and they use a 25-year rain, so is what they're using. So, and then of course it just spits out how much dry well. It spits out how many dry wells you need. It spits out the average runoff that you're getting, the average gallons volume that you'll need that will be stored. So it really makes it quite easy. So that way you can just go order what you need. It even tells you the thickness of the gravel backfill that you need for the dry well. So that's very convenient. Makes calculations for cost analysis very easy. Again, typical dry well scenario, we have from the downspout connecting a solid or perforated PVC pipe, and then of course the dry well surrounded by gravel. The idea is, again, the water is filtering through the soil and away from our lawns, away from our houses, but it's also being filtered to remove contaminants. So to install it, obviously you dig a wide enough hole, big enough to hit the dry well and the gravel backfill. And then you would install the dry well, connect them with pipe if there's more than one, and then backfill with gravel, and then you can even test it using a garden hose. Most of these have a geotextural fabric that you want to install with it, and you can even attach a surface drain on top of it to help capture water. So these are really versatile products that you might want to seriously consider, and a lot more stormwater managers in counties are recommending more of these to contractors for larger developments, larger, like, parking lots for large urban suburban planning. So they're really trying to get away from the retention ponds, and they're trying to get more filtering through the soil profile. All right, so let's tie it all together now with stormwater management in the home landscape. So again, you can go on these different websites like NDS, and they have these little handy dandy charts that you can use. So let's say you have some excess water on your downspouts. You're trying to figure out what to do with your downspouts. You can use a catch basin leading to a dry well, leading to a French drain. If your driveway, again, you can connect the channel drain to the same dry well, or tie it into the French drain leading to the street. If you have water in your yard, you can do. If you have water in your yard, you can do simple dry wells or French drains. With landscape beds, you can add atrium grates for catch basins, and again lead those to dry wells and French drains. So you can see how it all kind of connects, and you can really make a drainage system work for your entire yard and keep your yard and your house foundation very dry, very safe.